Hello, and welcome to penultimate presentation of the conference. I see not many managed to survive the party and get here by the end of the day. But anyways, let's get to the point of our presentation, which will hopefully resonate with most of you, which is how to not lose HCPs on their journey. My name is Denis. I'm head of product at Dazur Digital.
My name's Andy Burke. I am head of strategic development, also at Dazur Digital.
Just a couple of words about us. Dazur Digital is a company that helps pharma to adopt omnichannel whilst providing the best possible experience to HCPs. We're not only certified across all industry standard tools, but also a software developer, delivering cutting-edge technologies like marketing automation or customer data platforms to pharma. But before we move further, I just want you to imagine yourself a top digital leader of a pharmaceutical company, I think as you are. You spent the last 3 months on this promising campaign and launched it successfully, but you wake up the very next day, log into the platforms you're using every day, and this is what you see. Only 0.14% of your audience actually reached the bottom of your funnel, and only 5.6% actually opened your email. Well, does this look familiar to you? For me, it kind of reminds a popular game from the show on Netflix, but HCP is the one who's stepping into unknown, and you are the one who's watching from the outside, praying that most of them will survive. But why does it happen? Well, as you all saw and heard from previous presentations, if you want to seek for answer, it will usually lie, it will lie between you need to have better customer experience, you need to have more data around HCPs, you need more automations, or you need to have better overall omnichannel experience. But as we always do, we went for some proof and asked our clients what they think is the most important part that is missing in their current marketing campaigns. The answers were quite surprising because you can see that the content is still undisputed king, there's no doubt in that. But technologies like AI, automations, channels, data, and creative, as in creative idea, design, user experience, they stand very close to each other. So this actually provokes the question around omnichannel. Is omnichannel technology a real game changer, or you can achieve all those great results without any fancy platform?
So to answer this, we started off by reflecting on our experience of working with various different clients. And we actually noticed the common disconnect between the creative and the technical functions. In fact, we'd go a step further and say that there was a bit of a conflict between these functions. But this is important when answering this question. So how can we? Now, we came up with the idea of Denis and I pitch battling our own cases of various marketing situations and the creative and technical tools to solve them. And you're going to be our referees, which just leaves Denis, you and I, to work out who's going to be tech and who's going to be creative. We're both adults. Paper, scissors, stone?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
On three.
On three.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So
I'm going to go creative.
You're going to go creative. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So before we start, we're just going to go back to the journey. So a content journey is a set of steps, a combination of channels and messages in a specific order. Now, we're going to share with you some common challenges and practical solutions to those challenges. The first step on our content journey is face-to-face meetings. Now, typically, we lose HCPs here from not catching their attention, not showing them the right information, or not handling their objections or questions well enough. So I'm going to start with creative. Now, you have an excellent opportunity with a beautiful creative to really engage emotionally with HCPs. So in this example, really telling the disease burden story and bringing it to life. We can also revitalize established data. Now, we see slides like this very often. It's just quite data heavy, but actually this is a critical slide for our clients. It tells the story of early innovation, early diagnosis, early innovation, intervention with treatment, and how it impacts survival rates. So we can actually be very creative with how we tell that story of time and make it far more visually impactful. And then in regards to presenting the right information to HCPs, We can embed segmentation into interactive scenarios. So effectively, we're asking HCPs to select where they want to go in the content themselves at that point. And we can also be far more creative with how we handle objections. So we can embed them into the main story flow, or we can actually create objection libraries. So it doesn't matter where the rep is in their call, they will always be able to jump to the right content to handle that objection well. Now, we looked at data across 50 CLM presentations and also carried out surveys with field teams. And we saw that if you apply each of these, you will increase the time on each slide, the time in the actual presentation, and improve the success of the rep handling the objections in the call.
What technology is bringing us here is that you can generate a 360-degree profile of HCP in the platforms like CDP that will allow you to see not just the static attributes of a doctor, but also the full history of communication with this particular HCP in all channels that are connected to the platform, as well as to automatically assign a segment based on behavior. For example, it can be the topic of interest or the most common objection or anything else. And you can also provide the same information right in representatives' hands in their CRM, as you can see from on the screenshot from Viva. And the other good part here is that you can also generate insights and actions based on this data. For example, if we see that additional slides on efficiency were used in 70% of all calls, there's a high probability that the efficiency is the main objection of this particular HCP, and representatives need to be better prepared to handle them. The other example is when we generate actions. For instance, if HCP opened the email with Congress link but didn't finish the registration process, you can automatically generate a suggestion to representative to come on call and help HCP to register. Applying all these, you can have more calls that will continue with the presentation, as well as you can bring another additional registrations thanks to representatives if you will generate those kind of suggestions. And finally, you can bring back those HCPs that you thought were lost on a double opt-in process with the help of reps.
Now, I can see creating suggestions will be really, really valuable, but I feel like a good creative it gives so much confidence to a rep in a call. So I'm trying to wrestle this point from you.
I agree with you on that one.
Okay.
I'm going to give my point to you.
Okay, so 1-0 creative.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Okay, so next in our content journey, we get to emails. Now, we typically see a drop-off of HCPs here because of a bad customer experience or not the right content or timing of email. So in addressing that, you've got to be more creative in the kind of content you send via email. Now, we see an increase in engagement on non-branded, lifestyle content, but again, you can be more creative than that by introducing interactive mechanics. And in this example, we actually created a clinical case in the email. So we provided case information, and we asked the HCP to say what would they do next. And that click-through took them to the appropriate content. In doing that, in doing both of these, you will see an increase in open rates and an increase in clicks.
I think you need to surrender on this one because obviously technology is going to take the point. So one of the strongest points that the aspects of technologies now are triggers. Triggers are basically when you have an event that occurs at some point and you can automatically take action. As a simple example, if email hasn't been opened, you can automatically send the same message in other channels in cascading scenario. A bit more complex one is when the article on your website was read 30% through, and it's a very crucial one, you can actually re-engage with this HCP automatically using the same message, but sending it in email with bullet points. Another good aspect of technologies now is that marketing automation tools provide you so-called hyper-personalizations when you can send your message using the information about HCP as the topics of interest, knowing the most converting channels, and of course the preferred content format. For someone it can be a long read, for the other one it can be a PDF or a video or anything else. And the part that I really like is that MA can give you a way to experiment that we all really love in pharma. So you can use an approach called A/B testing or MVT testing at some points. It's fairly simple. You just take a sample of your audience, you divide it into several groups, and you send different variations of your content to those groups. And based on the most performing one, you send it to the whole audience. And applying this, you can test various things like day and time, frequency, design of your content, tone of voice, or anything else. So all these lead to a drastic increase in metrics like open rates, click-through rates, and engagement rates in various channels. So what do you say?
I mean, I know when I'm beaten, so I'm going to award you my point.
Oh, okay. I like that you agree with me. I take the point.
Okay, so next in our content journey, we go to events. Now, events, you see a drop-off of HCPs around the registration, in the attendance, but also actually in what you do with the HCPs in the event, and obviously post. Now, live events are like a paradise creatively to create immersive and interactive environments. I mean, this example, we had HCPs walking around the stage, and we were tracking their movement as a skeleton on screen.
But why skeleton?
I mean, the doctors loved it. It was cool. That's why. But okay, fine. We can also create interactive and creative, immersive environments, like this example for Gilead in the Middle East. It was a fully animated corridor where we were creating a high-pressure environment for the HCPs to interact with clinical cases and making decisions under pressure to save patients' lives. And then we reinforced key messages around mechanisms of action. So, I mean, literally, we were everywhere in events.
Well, don't get me wrong. I think it's great. But the question is how you get them there. And I think this is when technologies are stepping in. You can have the whole automated sequence that you can build in marketing automation tools that will start with an invitation, will be followed by an automatic reminder just before the event. And of course, you can re-engage with those HCPs and send them post-event follow-up based on the attendance. So it's quite a tough one.
I mean, it's a close one.
And we don't have any data.
Yeah, we don't have data. But I mean, with the significant investment in events, I think we shade it with creative because you've got to engage them when you're there. I mean, look at us.
I agree. All right. So point to creative once again.
Okay.
But lastly.
So I'll take that. Another wrestled point from you. Okay, so the last step in the content journey is web, your web content. So typically here, we lose HCPs in complicated registrations, bad user experiences, and not enough activation or retention mechanics. Now, you can be far more creative in your registration process. We've seen those long, complicated forms. This is an example where we actually simplified the first step. So we allowed HCPs access on just email and password to be able to then access non-restricted content. Then when they went to access restricted content, they were prompted to enter more details. You also need to remember it's such an important tool, your website. So getting HCPs there is one thing, and then you want to keep them there. And you can do that from really creative storytelling and visualization. So here are two examples. The one on the left is using story blocks. So each block is one message or a continuous story flow. So as the HCP scrolls, more content loads. But you can also use interactive mechanics to really boost engagement of high-value assets like videos. So this example here at the top is it was a standard video, and we turned it into a multi-scenario video. So the HCP would watch a section, they would be asked a question, then depending on how they answered it would determine where they go to next in that video. And then also multi-format content. We need to give HCPs the choice in how they're going to digest content on your site. So whether it's going to be watched, listened to, or read. Now, all of this increases the registrations, the conversion of registrations, increases page depth, and then also, as in that example, increases the interactivity of the video, but also watching it right the way through to the end.
So technologies here allow you to generate a lot of different content. So you can have a personalized feed for each HCP. You can have recommendations of content based on the topics of interest. You can generate the whole digest with the materials that he's interested in, as well as automatically trigger pop-ups and notifications right on site. And of course, if you want to increase overall activity and retention around your portal, you can use automations in order to create a lot of different triggered scenarios all around the portal, starting from onboarding and, for example, if you haven't seen a particular HCP for 14 days, you can automatically send him a reactivating campaign with the information that he missed during that time. So all this, of course, significantly increase overall retention, activity, and pages per session.
Okay, so
what do you think?
I think another very close one.
It's a final one.
It's the final one, so a big one. I'm going to say I actually think I love triggered scenarios. So I'm going to reluctantly concede my point to you.
Oh, nice.
Huh?
So it all seems it's a fair draw. Well, to be honest, I'm still convinced that utilizing all the tech is great. But from what I saw, I think that it doesn't benefit HCPs that much without a creative idea around the content that you're delivering.
And I obviously still feel that building a campaign around a beautiful creative is an excellent way to go. But I have seen that actually, with the introduction of tech, you reach far more HCPs' hearts and minds. So that leaves us to just summarize our presentation. Now, you may have suspected it would end too all, but actually it is both a tech and a creative need to keep HCPs on your content journey. And we hope that in the practical and simple examples that we've shown you, you've got some useful tips in how you can do that, improve doing that. Now, we would say, come and see us at our booth, but we're going to be dismantling that very, very soon. But we'd love to take any questions, and yeah, take our details, and we'd love to continue discussion. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, we still have at least one. Any question?
Again, we take it as a good sign if there's no questions.
All right. Thank you for having us.